welcome as Suffield alumni. At this time, I would like to call on Shivang, who will address you on behalf of the class of 2014. Shivang is a four-year senior from Hong Kong. He's a four-year senior from Hong Kong, and as I noted earlier, he's a very engaging, spirited young man. Shivang.
Thank you, Mr. Kent, for that warm introduction. Can everybody hear me? Yes! Can everybody see me? All right. Good morning, faculty, guests, family, and most importantly, the class of 2014. To be honest, I was pretty surprised when I heard I was chosen to speak at this year's commencement. I knew that writing a speech was going to be an exciting process, but there were a few situations that were rather befuddling. For example, a meeting with Mr. Ken. He got me so confused he had my head tied in a pretzel. However, he did buy me a smoothie afterwards, so he's pretty cool. After writing about 10 bad ideas, I finally realized what I would like to share with all of you here today. In my 4 years here at Suffield, I have gotten a good education, and about half of that education was outside the classroom. By this, I mean learning how to deal with people and how to construct relationships. When I first started boarding school 8 years ago, I thought I would never fit in with anyone. I honestly thought people would judge me. Like seriously, I was some little Indian kid from Hong Kong who didn't play sports and had no special talents. I thought I was going to be the biggest outcast. When I first came to Suffield, even though I had already been at junior boarding school for 4 years, I was both nervous and excited. I wasn't a little kid anymore. I mean, I was on the smaller side, but I had matured. I was going to high school, and I had the opportunity approaching to meet hundreds of new people. On my first day, I made it a priority to go up to kids in my dorm and introduce myself. I must say, some of these didn't go so well. For example, I knocked on Sam Feldman's door, walked in, and tried to start a conversation with him. He didn't seem that excited to meet me. I didn't really understand why at the time, but after a while, I realized it was probably because all he was wearing was a towel. However, this did lead to a good conversation starter 3 hours later. At least I thought it was. As the year progressed, I made a good group of friends, but still didn't know that many people well. For example, Chapman Webb and I both lived in Hornick dorm, but we didn't really talk to each other. When sophomore year rolled around, Chapman and I both lived in the smallest dorm, Brewster, and we saw each other constantly. I went from thinking of him as some weirdo from Mississippi to thinking of him as my best friend in the whole world in a matter of weeks. The bond between Chapman and me really made me realize that relationships don't need to be made on the first day of school or even the first year. In addition to these easy relationships, I also had some challenging ones too. In the beginning of my sophomore year, I met my friend Antonio Mayol. Our very first interaction together was on the squash court. This guy is so competitive. He always kept going. It sounds a little common, doesn't it? Two good friends trying to beat each other for bragging rights or whatever it may be. That's exactly what Antonio and I did for each other. Because we were so competitive, we were able to help each other improve. This reminds me of one of my favorite quotations by a famous race car driver by the name of Niki Lauda. A wise man gets more from his enemies than a fool does from his friends. Not saying that Antonio and I were enemies, but we were certainly rivals in a number of different things, especially sports. With this rivalry, we were both able to benefit. Also, during my sophomore year, I joined Mrs. Warren's advisory group. She had been a huge help to me my first year on campus, so it seemed like a good idea. What I didn't think about at first was that I would be the only guy in the group. When I realized this, I was worried that I would be seen as an outsider, or as the person invading their girl group activities. And in fact, while the girls enjoyed mani-pedi outings, I felt like I had done just that. However, Miss Warren made sure that no matter what the occasion was, I always felt included, and most importantly, loved. What I learned from Mrs. Warren was how important it is to take in an outsider and make him feel like he is one of your own. Also, I learned that guys can get manicure pedicures, and I'll let you wonder whether I got one or not. In my junior year, I got to interact with Mrs. Savatelli, or as we like to call her here on campus, Selve. She was my college counselor. In our first college meeting, she said, "Shivang, where do you want to go to college?" I said with a big smile on my face, "Well, Selve, I want to play squash for Harvard." She then responded saying, "Oh, haha, great. Really, in her mind, I knew she was saying, "All right, seriously, this boy needs a wake-up call." When she realized I was joking, she helped me sift through all the choices to find my dream school. She made me a realist in the best way possible. One thing I learned from Selvi was to always hope for the best, but don't always expect it. Especially in something as unpredictable as the college process. Selvi always kept it real with me. She would never let me live in a dream world and give me false hope. She was always honest with me. Even when I had an unorthodox idea about the college process, she supported me through to the end. Finally, my senior year, I decided to do cross country. I could have done nothing and taken my season off, but instead, for some strange reason, I decided to run upwards of 5 miles every day. I honestly don't know what's going through my head. Within a few days of meeting my coach, Mr. Root, I said to myself, "All right, seriously, this guy needs to take a chill pill." He made me work so hard, way past my limits, and it was still not good enough for him. This made me not like him at all. I honestly thought this guy was the worst. However, on the bus to an away cross-country meet, I heard him humming one of my favorite songs. So I asked him, "Do you like Fatboy Slim?" I knew I would have to give this guy a second chance when I learned that we both love the same music. Today, Mr. Root is one of the people who I connect very closely with, both about music and also about running. In the short time that I have known him, he has been a mentor to me as well as a role model. When I finally got the courage to ask him why he went so hard on me during the season, he told me to look around, so I did. I was like, "What are you talking about?" He responded saying, No, Shivang, look around at the others. I'm not just pushing you, I'm pushing everyone. All this for your own benefit. I was like, cliche, but alright, it works for me. My relationship with Mr. Root showed me to stop taking things so personal. Also, there are more important things than just what I think. These are some examples of the relationships I have been lucky to build here. I know that I'm not the only person that has made important relationships. I would like all of you to think back on some of the relationships you have made in your time here. Why are these bonds so important to us? At the end of our Suffield career, whether it was 4-3-2 or even just 1 year long, these relationships have had a huge impact on our time here and are now central to our identity. They have taught us the difference between wrong and right. They have taught us what is important, how to treat others, and why we should keep an open mind about people, even some as strange as Chapman. You never know how important people will be to you later. We have all been lucky to bond with a certain group of people. The friends who are sitting with you here today have seen you at your best and at your worst. You've been through everything together, and you can still call each other friends. These are what real friends are. So I urge you to stay in close touch with each other. Let's try that again. With each other as the years go by. So while we get ready to leave here today with our beautiful diplomas, let's not forget what we are also leaving with, an extended family. Let's remember what the famous TV show Entourage has showed us. Life changes. Friends don't. Thank you.